To kick off our symposium, please welcome to the stage Interim Dean of the UNC Dornsife College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences, Dr. Mohamed El-Naggar.
Good morning. It is my privilege to welcome you to our USC Dornsife Institute of Armenian Studies Symposium, Artsakh Uprooted, Aftermaths of Displacement. Since I stepped into my role as Interim Dean of the Dornsife College of Letters, Arts, and Sciences a few months ago, I've had the privilege to learn a lot more about the work that is happening across our Dornsife centers and institutes, outside of the natural sciences where my own research lives. The Institute of Armenian Studies came into my sight immediately, and the more I learned, my appreciation continued to grow for the work that happens here. I quickly came to see a unique combination of ingredients that positions the Institute to model both the scholarship and the impact that we expect from a global research university. The first ingredient, a clear vision and a visionary director, Dr. Shushan Karapetyan, and a dedicated staff who are leading an ambitious effort to expand the role of the Institute as an undisputed leader in contemporary Armenian studies. Second, a global outlook. The Institute is at the cutting edge of topics that impact us all: democracy, war, disinformation, migration, language, social inequality, and so much more. The studies may be Armenian, but the lessons are global. The third ingredient is a supportive community, you, a community that taps into the broader intellectual and cultural network of Los Angeles, including an engaged leadership council. We know that success does not happen overnight. Many of you joining us today have been part of the Institute's story that goes back more than 2 decades. I'd like to thank you for your support, and I hope that you will continue to stand with us in the years ahead. The invitation to speak at this event came to me at a time when I had recently reread Edward Said's widely admired essay, Reflections on Exile. It is among the most moving and enlightening accounts on a theme that is all too familiar to the global Armenian community. Written back in 2000, it is a profound exploration of the dual nature of displacement, the ways in which the suffering and sadness of exile also grants unique perspective. Existing between two worlds, Said writes, exiles critically observe both their original and adopted societies. This condition, he says, is strangely compelling to think about, but terrible to experience. Indeed, it can be hard to imagine this way of living. Separated from one's roots is to be separated from the traditions and memories that define our sense of self. So much of who we are and how we approach the world is profoundly influenced by our connection to a home. The experience of exile, Said writes, is sometimes romanticized in literature, often ignoring the real suffering involved. Of course, here in Los Angeles, we are no strangers to storytelling, and perhaps no story has been told more often throughout history than that of the hero's journey. An individual is sent away from the world they know to endure the challenges of an unfamiliar, often hostile world. Along the way, the protagonist develops resilience, gains perspective, and finds new ways to tap into their full potential. Despite the hardships, Edward Said observes that exile may bring about a similar experience by eliciting creativity and demanding that one challenges the status quo. I would argue that in many ways, this exemplifies the Armenian diaspora. Forced to reconstitute broken lives, we've seen thousands of Armenian exiles over decades translate tragedy into new ways of thinking. We see this here in our own city, where the sizable Armenian community has shaped and enriched our way of living. Please don't get me wrong. I do not seek a positive spin on exile. We are here to reflect on an insurmountable tragedy, one that continues to play out today as more than 100,000 ethnic Armenians from Artsakh were recently forced to leave the place they call home. Instead, it is an observation of the complexity of identity and a reflection on the human spirit. Last weekend, friends of the Institute of Armenian Study asked me about my aspirations for the Institute. After discussing the value of rigorous scholarship, I told them that I just want us to impact people's lives. Public-facing events like this one exponentially amplify this impact. And the work the Institute does with students on a daily basis matters. I dare think that this very audience has the future stars of tomorrow, the ones that will transform our understanding of the Armenian experience by writing the next great novel, producing the hit movie, or shaping public policy. That is the value of a great institute at a global research university. Today's event adds to the Institute's leadership, and it will offer new insights on the troubling events that have unfolded over the past year. The Institute has brought together academics, artists, and community leaders to unpack what has happened in Artsakh and what it means for the future of the Armenian community. I am confident that you will be moved by the conversations here today, and I would like to thank you for spending time with us here at USC. It is now my privilege to introduce the director of the USC Dornsife Institute of Armenian Studies, Dr. Shushan Karapetyan.